we're at INTX with Sigma Systems, John Frames, who is the Director of Product Management, to discuss something that is basically really needed in the marketplace right now as the cable operators and the telephone companies look to provide a really next generation, if you will, Internet of Things service, going beyond the one-off and two-off sort of applications environments to having a very open system. One of the things, obviously, that's necessary to make all this possible is to be sure that you as an operator are equipped with the back office methods and systems that will allow you to sell the Internet of Things products in a way that's understandable to the end user, and it gives them the options to tailor it. So John, that's really your wheelhouse. That's what Sigma Systems is doing these days.
It is, and in the next 5 years, we're looking at, some of these reports are saying 26 billion devices deployed around the world. And so with that number of devices, we really need to give the consumers and the businesses out there the ability to manage, understand, and really build upon these services in really unique and new ways. And we think the telcos and the cable operators are in a great position to do that. But those operators really need to be agile in the marketplace, and the ability to react and change and take products in new and exciting ways. Because that's what the competition's doing. And so the traditional systems within telcos and cable operators tend to be fairly rigid. The inability to move quickly in the marketplace, try things. There's a really popular phrase out in Silicon Valley, which is fail fast and fail often. Right. And with telcos and cable operators, that's not usually something that you hear in the hallways. But if we take more of a catalog-driven approach to these types of offers in the marketplace, then we have that ability to fail fast and try new things and A/B test, do new offerings within the market. And we think that's what's really going to be needed for Internet of Things to be successful.
Do you see, as obviously these are very early days, but as Internet of Things, if it does, catches along with the public, and we still don't know how far it goes beyond home security and maybe a little bit of energy management, but with the devices proliferating in the marketplace, one assumes that people are going to start buying them. So my question is really, do you see a time coming where it's a highly a la carte kind of service as opposed to being just a one size fits all, here's your, whatever it is, $29.95 a month, and you've got your applications all tied in?
Right. It's going to be all of that. It's going to be able to go down to Home Depot and you buy the Nest thermometer and the doorbells and all those pieces. But then I've also gone off to Best Buy and I got the crock pot that we see over there in the pedestal. I got a crock pot that connects to my iPhone and so forth, along with my connected car that came when I purchased the car. So the BMW or the Chevrolet actually comes with the services all interconnected. And then finally, yes, I've got utilities, I've got telcos, but who's pulling all that together, giving me the ability to understand what's going on, manage those devices, get a sense, and really bring all that together. And if we look at who could do such a thing, it's really clear that telcos and cable operators are in a great position to do just that.
Do you feel that they would be selling this stuff in tiers, like a la carte, based on what kind of devices the end user wants to bring into it?
And that's where that agility comes in. So they're going to have to try. Do you sell it as tiers? Do you try to sell it this way and that way? The answer is all of that and more. And so taking more of a catalog-driven approach inside, so the product management, marketing could sit down and try this particular offering in the market. That doesn't work too well, that's okay. We're not talking about rebuilding our systems and redesigning things. We're talking about going in and changing what we're offering in the market and hitting a button that says publish. And so now that offering's appearing on the website, those offerings appearing within the CSR community, within our channels, and we now can try again and move very quickly. That's what the Amazons of the world and the Netflixes and all the others that are out there that are being very successful, is that rapid agility within the marketplace to try things. And that, I think, is the key piece for success with Internet of Things going forward.
You mentioned the CSRs. We're not accustomed to this kind of thing and talking about such things. What do you have that helps them?
Well, so here at Sigma, we have a CPQ experience. So we see an example of it here on the screen. So the ability to have a configure price quote, overall experience, and that overall experience simply transforms itself based on who is coming through and what are the various attributes of that individual. So if a customer is coming in through a website, they have attributes about are they consumer versus a business? What size business? What other services? So all those attributes about them then shapes what they see on the screen, the offerings and so forth. That same CPQ experience through a CSR, now they may see additional products, additional services, additional details that a customer wouldn't see. But it's the same CPQ engine, it's the same CPQ overall experience driving both. Then we apply it to the channel. So we have third-party partners that are involved in all of this as well. Again, it just transforms itself based upon the data about who's looking at what to then shape the best solution for that
So
customer.
you as the operator can set up your channels and give them the information that they're entitled to and distinguish amongst those different channels.
And it can go so far as there's a product, but because the channel is coming in, we want to call it something different. We want to use a different logo. We want different terms and conditions. But when we go to turn it on, it's the exact same product that the CSR would sell, but we just represent it differently according to our channel agreement, those types of pieces. So that ability to really be very dynamic about that, what is referred to as an omni-channel experience, which also includes the form factor. So if I'm looking at a set of products on my phone versus the tablet versus the web, do I show products differently? The descriptions are different, the logos are different, maybe even the products offered are different.
Yeah. And you mentioned business customers and Internet of Things, and the business environment, of course, gets into a whole other world. Do you see operators pursuing that? And I'm thinking more on the cable side. Obviously, the telcos, especially with mobile, are big into that. Do you see the cable guys reaching with their enterprise services into that space?
That's really interesting because, as an industry, we're always looking for growth markets. Where can we get additional growth? On the enterprise side, there's not a lot of growth left. Generally, the telcos and the cable operators, they're just swapping accounts. There's not a whole lot of new enterprises out there. And we've seen the reports of what's happening more on the consumer side. A lot of those markets are actually not growing. They're going the other way on us. But we look at the small to medium business, small to medium enterprise, that is really an untapped market. There's 22 million small to medium businesses in the United States alone. And where do they get their services from? They don't. They're piecemealing them together. They're trying to put things together as best they can. And what they really need is that trusted advisor. Who could be the person that come to them and say, this is what your business needs? But what separates the small to medium business from the enterprise is they don't have the expertise. Most small to medium businesses, who handles IT? Well, it might be a facilities manager, but it's more often the owner who has 17 other jobs that they also do. So you can't go into them and start talking about layer 3 VPNs and IPsec and all these terms. What they want to do is they want to connect their office here in Chicago with their remote office out in Wisconsin. Right. That's all they want to do. Right. So how about if we use a CPQ type experience that can use their language, their conversations and so forth, but it's still underneath that layer 3 VPN we're selling to the enterprise, but we're talking about it in the terms that really make sense to them. And now, the other thing is that most of the time a lot of the enterprise products that we offer are highly customized, whereas in the smaller business they don't need that level of customization. Right. So we can move much more to a cookie cutter, one size fits all type of product offering, right, and it works just fine for them. Now we have that growth that our industry is really looking for.
What I was curious about was the Internet of Things aspects of that from on the commercial services side.
Yep.
And whether you see the operators being willing to take that on as part of what they're offering into the commercial services market, because that gets into a different thing than the home.
It does. But again, that's where we can get this incredible growth, where I can come in as that trusted advisor and say, you know what, absolutely, this cold chain product, the ability to monitor the temperature of a product from the point of manufacture all the way till it's delivered to the final consumer, for example, referred to as cold chain. Yeah. And if the temperature drops below a certain amount, then alarms go off, those types of things. That's a great service. There are tons of small to medium businesses that could use that service.
Sure.
Right? I mean, and the list goes on. But just like what we said with the enterprise products versus small to medium business, we don't have to customize them. We can get them much more simple, much more one size fits all. We don't need this a la carte type, heavy lifting to go on here. We can create some really great offerings, but then put them together with the traditional offerings as well, and sell that as a complete solution. They want solutions to their business. They don't need these one-off special things that we see in the enterprise. The other piece is traditionally those smaller businesses, they don't get any of that. They get the residential service because that's what's been automated, right? And so it's a huge untapped market out there. So not only do we have this incredible growth, 26 billion devices and Internet of Things, but we got 20 million small to medium businesses in the United States that aren't being served. So how do we bring all that together and create that growth?
Yeah. Well, obviously this is a big step in that direction. And I thank you so much, John, for taking us through it.
All right, thank you.
Okay.